Hello and welcome to my Lucina emblem ring guide video. In this video I'm going to break down the emblem ring Lucina, what she is good at, what she is bad at. I'm also going to go over the stat increases, how difficult the paralog is that you need to complete to hit bond level 20, good classes, good units for the emblem, desirable passives from the emblem, and the engraving. So to begin, let's talk about Bond Shield. This is potentially one of the best abilities in the game, if not the best ability in the game, and I can demonstrate why in 2 easy steps. So step 1 is you use specific unit types so that it always works on the first hit, and step 2 is you park a unit within range of enemies, and then you get results like this consistently across every map. Enemy attacks you, even if they hit, it hits for 0 because of Bond Shield, and then you kill them. And if you don't kill them, you just put good damage on them. You can tank a lot of things on this. This can trivialize a lot of maps. You can low man maps, meaning low unit deploy count maps. So if you want to deploy like 3, 4, 5 units, as long as you're running Bond Shield, you can easily beat maps with low unit counts. And this is including no DLC, no well usage or any of that. So it's extremely powerful. There are other things Lucina does, but this is the main thing. So I get it, you're tired of Bond Shield, so what else does Lucina do? So Lucina also allows any unit to essentially become a backup unit. So the way backup units work is if you have a weapon that has 1 range and you are standing next to an enemy, if another one of your allies attacks that enemy, you have an 80% chance to deal 10% of that enemy's max HP as damage. And the 80% is actually not correct. It's a little bit higher than 80%. It's closer to 90% based on how this game skews RNG. But essentially, it allows you to be a backup unit. Now, if you have 2 range, 3 range, 4 range on your abilities or attacks, you will also participate in chain attacks for enemies within that range. So that is the first thing Lucina does as a passive. Another thing is Dual Assist. So Dual Assist allows you as a new chain attack unit, or any chain attack unit for that matter, to have a 35% chance to contribute at range. So if you zoom out, you can see your character's attack range. So in this case, I can attack a lot of different things. So at Dual Assist 0, not Dual Assist Plus, there's a 35% chance that any one of my allies attacking an enemy will cause a Lear, in this case, to produce a chain attack. Now at Dual Assist Plus, that chance increases to 70%. So as my team are attacking different enemies, they will produce a chance to create a dual assist, or in other words, a chain attack. Now this is extremely useful for dealing tons of chip damage to multiple different enemies, and this can allow you to one-round enemies that you couldn't one-round otherwise if you were just a few points of damage shy. And also, to conclude the passives, you have dual support. Now both Dual Assist Plus, you get Dual Assist at level 5 Bond, but you get Dual Assist Plus at level 18, I believe, so it's quite high up. Dual Support you get at level 13. This gives you a Void that scales with support level. And from what I can tell, so right now Anna is an A support. It's quite a substantial amount of a Void. So the more A supports near you, the higher it goes, and the cap is plus 90. So it's a pretty high cap. So just by standing next to Anna. Now there's a Void increase, very likely just from standing next to Anna without Dual Assist, or I'm sorry, Dual Support, but it does scale further. So if you have a bunch of A supports around you, you're gonna have really high avoid rates. And this does matter because when you are Bond Shielding, enemies can still hit the center. So the first attack is nullified on all the adjacent units depending on if you're using certain setup. So for example, if you're on cavalry, it's 100% trigger rate for all cavalry. If you're on flyer, 100% trigger rate for all flyers. If you're on armor, 100% trigger rate for all armor. If you're on Chi Adept, 100% trigger rate for everyone. And then if you're on dragon, it's 90% trigger rate. Otherwise, it's 80. So you can still get hit in the center. So having dual support allows you to dodge tank, and generally enemies will ignore the center. And in some cases, you can actually be in an open position. So if my avoid is high enough, I can just be like exposed. So for example, if I'm like here and I have another support, let's see, another support here, you can do positions like this where you just scale your avoid. So right now I'm 132 avoid, and if I look at some of these enemies, their hit rates are very similar to that, so they have a 6% chance to hit me. So I can basically dodge tank blatantly and kind of rub it in their face. So you don't have to hide behind your team. You can also be exposed in some cases. If you have enough A supports around you and your dodge is high enough, it's very safe to do this. So overall, huge enemy phase ability, good player phase support with the dual assist and the dual strike, and then also good general avoid tanking with dual support. And of course, the bonded shield is crazy. Lucina's stat increases are dex, speed, and luck. Essentially, before the paralog, the highest you can get these stats to at bond level 10 is +3 dex, +2 speed, and +4 luck. And then these are the max stats, so this is after you complete the paralog and also hit bond level 20. So +5 dex is pretty substantial. A lot of units can make use of this for specific builds, or just in general for accuracy increase. And the +4 speed is massive. +4 speed is a lot of speed. So the dex and the speed definitely will help most units. Let's talk about the paralog and the paralog difficulty. So this is by far the easiest paralog in the game, in my opinion. It's the first paralog you get. It's very short. Essentially, there are a few either El Thunder or Thoron units that you have to kind of watch out for. There's some armor you have to kill. The other things to consider are when you attack Lucina, snipers on either side of her will appear. So when you finally aggro her, you want to either have Lyn attack her with Astrostorm, like your Lyn user, Astrostorm her, and then you just dive her, or you want to hold off for maybe like a few chapters until your units are a little higher level, then it'll be very easy. So you can do this almost immediately, but if you want to beat this easily, I recommend just like waiting 2 or 3 chapters before you tackle it. But it's definitely the easiest paralog, for sure. So who are some good units for Lucina? I would say Alir is probably one of the better units, just to get a 100% bond trigger on either a horse-based class or a flying-based class. You could also run it on Dragon if you want, but there's definitely better things for Dragon. Chloe would be decent on it, same thing with Ivy. She could be a flying bond shielder, and Chloe could be a flying or a mounted as well. It could be decent on Anna if you want to make her like a Chi Adept or something, or a Mage Knight. It could be decent on Marin for similar reasons. I have run it on Marin and it was fine. She has a lot of good supports, so she tends to make use of dual support. Alchrist, I don't really recommend it because he's an archer. I mean, it kind of makes sense if something attacks him in the center and he counterattacks at 2 to 3 range. So arguably he could use it. I think there's better things for him, but it wouldn't be bad on him. Saline, I don't recommend. You'd basically have to make her like a Mage Knight or something, or Griffin Knight, for her to be a good... Pretty much like you want to take advantage of the 100% trigger rate. So anything that is good on a flying class, anything that is good on a cavalry class, anything that is good on Chi Adept will be a fantastic user of Lucina. So depending on what units you're on, it will drastically change the results. So for example, if you have Jean or Fram just stay on Chi Adept and you just have them use it, they could be quite good just in this way. They'd just be utility units, so very low investment, and it has a 100% success rate regardless of the unit type. This gives you some flexibility. So I would say Jean, Fram could be good candidates, Alir, Chloe, Ivy, Anna, Marin, Kagetsu. The Thieves, I don't really know, because if you want to keep them on Thief, they're not going to benefit from it uniquely. So mostly just classes that are good at, you know, mounted... any mounted classes for the mounted, you know, the same type mount. So, you know, same type flying, same type horse, or just Chi Adept. And that's also the true for the classes, right? So for the best classes for the emblem, it has to be cavalry, flying, Chi Adept. Those are the best classes for sure. So any specific class in those. So for example, like Wyvern or Griffin, any mounted classes like Paladin, Mage Knight, these are all pretty decent. Chi Adept, you know, Martial Master, really. You could do it on Bow Knight. You can also do it on Great Knight, because Great Knight is a cav. Interestingly enough, Wolf Knight is also a cav, so just something to take note of. Mage Knight is a cav. So yeah, cavalry, flying, Chi Adept, those are the best things for it, for sure. So let's talk about passives, including good passives. So here are her passives. She has Dex increase, she has bow agility, which gives you avoid but reduces crit. She has dual assist plus, dual support. So what of these, which are good? So Dex can definitely be good on certain builds. It increases crit rate slightly. It increases accuracy, but it also increases the trigger rate for certain abilities. So getting Dex +4 to Dex +5 can actually help certain builds be more consistent and reliable. You can also run dual assist on your backup units so that they can contribute at range. So essentially, if you run this on a bunch of heroes, especially dual assist plus, you can get a ton of chain attacks off of any basic attack, which will give you way more damage than you would have otherwise, and can be really nice for fighting certain enemies, like especially bosses or enemies with high health. Now, bow agility, if you want to create some kind of evasive, non-crit using bow user, you can run this, and you can stack this on like a covert. So like if you have a sniper in a tree with bow agility, it can basically be unhittable. So this could be useful, but honestly, I think dual support is just better. So dual support is worth unlocking. It scales your avoid rate based on support level. So from what I can tell, it seems to be like +15 to +20 per A rank. So you can get this up pretty high. And it only is affected by adjacent allies. So allies that are, 2 spaces away, it's not going to work on them. But this does rapidly increase your avoid rate. And I'm not sure, I would assume S rank increases it, but I don't know off the top of my head if it does or not. I actually haven't S ranked anyone because I don't care about that at all. Let's talk about her engraving to wrap up. So Lucina's engraving is a damage -1 or might -1, weight -1 engraving that also increases hit by 30 and avoid by 30. So this is a pretty flexible engraving that can be used on a lot of different weapons. You can use this for weight fixing, in other words, reducing weight so a unit can double more reliably. You can use this for hit increase. You can use this for a dodge tank because +30 avoid is substantial. So if you have a unit who has a hard time hitting and you want to increase its hit, you can use it for that. If you have a unit who you want to make into a dodge tank, you can use it for that because +30 avoid is massive. Like if enemy has a 70% hit rate, that puts them at 40 alone, plus dual support if you're actually running Lucina and you're looking at completely nullifying enemy hit rates. So there's a lot this can do. It's good on axes for the hit rate. It's good on fast units to weight fix and make them dodgier. Most fast units tend to not have accuracy issues, but any unit with accuracy issues, this is a fantastic engraving for. And it generally can be used for these 3 things: weight fixing, hit increase, and dodge tanking. Those are the main use cases. And if you want to do all 3 of those things at once, then you are optimally using this. Otherwise, you can throw it on an axe, you can throw it on things like Bolganone, on, your sages or mage knights or whatever you're running. It can be good on Levin Sword, it can be good on Tomahawk, it can be good on like a spear, like pretty much any weapon, like a silver spear, silver lance, silver sword, things like this, silver axe. I don't recommend it on brave weapons though. Any might reduction on brave weapons is not good because you are losing a lot of damage if you reduce the damage on a brave weapon. So definitely don't throw it on a brave, in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Lucina. Overall, one of the best emblem rings in the game. Has some good passives you can unlock, has a really good engraving, has a lot of good enemy phase tanking options, as well as player phase dual assist plus shenanigans, which does increase your average damage. So, even though it's only 70% chance to trigger, it still happens enough where you will get more damage and more kills than you would get otherwise, just by getting that extra 10% off. So yeah, definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this useful. I will be covering all of the emblem rings, including DLC. So yeah, definitely drop a comment. Let me know if I missed anything, or if you just want to drop a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.